What's happening everybody, King GBL here, and welcome back to a brand new Great League video. Today we're going to be showcasing Medicham and a very strong team that I've come up with here in the Great League, featuring of course the Medicham lead. We've got the Registeel Safe Swap and a Alolan Sandslash, Shadow Alolan Sandslash in the back. This is now one of my favourite teams in the Great League and it's something I really enjoyed using. Of course you have the two back Pokemon, Registeel and Alolan Sandslash, which pretty much protect against all of the fairy types and flying types that Medicham is weak to. With this recent update, Medicham is probably even stronger than it was before. I just want to clarify something. Medicham has always been like the best fighter, right? It's always been meta. So if I'm saying like Medicham is even better now, I'm not saying it wasn't good before, it's always been super overpowered, but I think with this newest update, it's even stronger than before. And an interesting fact here is in the Milwaukee Pokemon Go Regionals, I think Medicham had around 80% usage in the tournament. On around 80% of teams, Medicham was on them, so that is kind of crazy. And of course Medicham has always been on a lot of teams, but not quite as much as it has been quite recently. So Medicham was at 81.8% usage in Milwaukee. Now of course with Trevenant, it got the Seed Bomb nerf, which means that it can't really bait the moves as quickly, and Medicham of course gets the Ice Punch in 6 every single time, so it means that you're kind of like outpacing a little bit, and the matchup between Trevenant and Medicham is a little bit harder. People are having to look towards Sableye and all our different Pokemon to counter it. But in general, with all of the new buff Pokemon like Dugong, Alolan Sandslash, with a few buffed fairies being in the meta and a lot more steel types being in the meta to protect against that, that's just really elevated Medicham to the next level. And it's basically why if you look on PvPoke and look at the top 10 or 20 Pokemon, you'll see Machamp. Shadow Machamp is ranked 13 in the Great League currently. I did try using that Pokemon quite recently, but it is a little bit tough to run. It's really just to say that fighters have got a bit of a buff this season inadvertently because of all of the other buffs, and yeah, I think we're entering the territory where Medicham probably needs to get a nerf. Arguably, and probably correctly so, it has needed a nerf for quite some time. I think now is probably the time where it needs to get taken down a notch because I think it just performs far too well in so many different scenarios. Even against Noctowl, you can beat Noctowl in the zero shielding scenario with Ice Punch, and I think it just has so much versatility and can basically have play against anything. Anyway guys, so we're going to hop into these battles here. I went 5-0 off the rip with this team here, so I hope you guys enjoy the battles here. This was a pretty risky Psychic. I should have probably just went for the bait here, but the opponent just let it go, thankfully. We went 5-0 first set, and we had an okay-ish set afterwards, so drop a like on the video, guys. I know that's like completely unrelated there, but drop a like in the video for no apparent reason whatsoever, just because you want to help out, of course. And if you have been watching the videos and enjoying them recently, go on ahead and hit that subscribe button, it's very much appreciated. We're on the way to 1.9k now. I want to try to hit 2,000 here quite soon, and thank you very much. The support on the videos recently has been amazing, and not even just recently, of course, over the last few months, and as long as I've been uploading videos, it has been really good, so thank you very much everybody. We're looking to be in a rough position here, of course. Deoxys is a pretty big core breaker for this team. They're running Rock Slide, which is kind of stupid in my opinion. I decided to go for Psychic here because I think it does more raw damage, but I think I should be looking to go for 2 Ice Punches here. I'm not sure why I decided to go Psychic. I think I just let this go, because I realize it's just over at this point. So if you do run this team, Deoxys is definitely your main core breaker. Lantern is a bit of a core breaker in a way, but you can deal with it with Medi. We look to try and catch something on Reggie, because that's pretty much what this big tin can is here to do. I may be using the wrong Reggie for the first battles here. Yeah, so if you ever see me using the 1499 CP Reggie, it's the Raid IVs one. I've got one that's so good with 0 attack, which you'll see in the, of course, graphic here. But this one's like a Raid IV Reggie, and it's just a huge difference. Definitely recommend trading up some Reggies if you haven't got a good one yet. And in comes Stunfisk. This is a little bit of a bad swap by the opponent here in my opinion. Of course Stunfisk is a good counter for Reggie, but we will outpace to this first Focus Blast, which will look to absolutely wreck this thing, and the opponent is going for an Overfarm. Now I think I'm going to let this go calling a Rock Slide. The opponent does go for the Rock Slide. Can we get to the move? We just about don't. Potentially could have swapped into Medi there, because I sort of have 2 answers for this thing. I decided to go straight for the Ice Punch, and we're going to look to probably just farm this down with Ice Punches. You can't really go for like a full farm down unless you're going like Power Punch, which arguably for this team could be better. Yeah, as you can see, like the opponent is getting to moves here. I think I CMP'd them on a Rock Slide there. So like this is never like that comfortable if they have good IVs and everything. I think we're just letting this Rock Slide go and hoping we can just finish this counter down. In fact, I decided to come in with Sandslash and get ahead on energy. I ended up trying to go for CMP there anyway, so I'm not really getting ahead on energy. I think the opponent realised that and they shield it, which is crazy. So we will get an Overfarm, which is nice, but it's a pretty strong indication that the opponent's quite weak to Sandslash, or of course they just wanted to get off that move. I think the opponent here is an Ice Punch range, so I don't let them try to get off a Surf on me. They are an Ice Punch range here, thankfully. And in comes Noctowl. Good night, Noctowl. This is why Medicham is stronger, because Sandslash is here just wrecking these Noctowls. Dugong is just chilling in the back in so many teams, so Noctowl is just not comfortable anymore. Lantern is very, very powerful these days. It doesn't really have an amazing answer, like, of course grass types, right, but like, there's just so much that counters grass types. There's so many ice types and stuff in the meta, and of course there are still flyers. And Medicham itself, you know, if the ice punch deals with them, so it really is just the mud boys dealing with Lantern. So I think, you know, the two sort of things that are sticking out like a sore thumb this season are Lantern and Medicham. Very good lead here, Scrafty. We need to keep this off the back line. The opponent stays in and throws one counter. We come into Registeel here. I think Registeel is probably the more comfortable matchup, because Alone and Sandslash, like, while the brines don't really hurt too much, they can add up and the opponent can make it awkward for you. So we just farm up to 100 energy here every time. I'll look to fire off Zap Cannons on this thing. Am I using the good Registeel this time? No, I'm still using the bad one. But this Registeel is doing perfectly fine. I think what I might try to do here is go for a lock on down, like a Focus Blast lock on down or something. If I remember, no, I'm just going straight for the lock on down. Of course the poison jabs are resisted, and this thing's super bulky, so it doesn't really hit too hard. Yep, we're locking on this thing down, and I think the opponent makes an aggressive swap there. I was already at 100 energy, so I'm not sure what the point there was, but we're going to come in with Medicham, and this is fine. Of course, with the Psychic coverage, and in comes Nidoqueen, which is quite awkward for the opponent. We can look to just fire off multiple Ice Punches. I don't even have to go for the Psychic. I think the opponent just let this go here, just trying to call an Ice Punch or a Power Punch or something. But yeah, this is looking like a little bit awkward for the opponent. I have a Sandslash in the back as well, which of course with the Drill Runs and Shadow Claws can easily deal with both of these Pokemon here. So I'm just more than happy usually just to keep both shields for my back Pokemon. And yeah, we just come in with Reggie because they can Poison Jab us down. We'll eat that move and then we'll look to farm it down. The opponent probably should be top lifting, yes they are, and that's a good game. You've heard me say it a few times in the last videos, Sandslash is just so much fun, but here's an interesting lead here. So I guess like our whole team kind of beats this really. We're going to look to catch a Frenzy Plant. Guys, you have no idea how much I have to re-record these videos because I just stutter and can't speak correctly. It's insane, honestly. But we're just going to go for a Focus Blast on this, and we're not going to re-record this one. And that should look to get a shield off the opponent, which is quite interesting. The opponent might be a little bit weak to Reggie in the back. So if you think about what this thing has, I knew this could be an Earthquake, so I was happy enough just to let it go, come back in and go for an Ice Punch. Once again, like Reservative generally pretty happy to go for 2 shields and Sandslash. We're going to go for a slight overfarm here and look to fire off an Ice Punch. I do not think they're going to shield this one, but yeah, the opponent actually ate it pretty well, and a Frenzy Plant would do a lot of damage here. I do want to keep some health on Medi just in case I need it. In comes an Altaria, so we're going to look to fire off multiple Ice Punches. Again, this is where this thing is so OP, like we can get off 2 Ice Punches here before they can potentially get off 1 Sky Attack. We're gonna come in with Sandslash, and they're not swapping straight out, which is an interesting one. 1 Ice Punch will actually wipe this thing out. This thing is so strong. They come back in with Meganium. What's in the back? It is no, it's not just Wombass. It's Whiscash, Cash Daddy. Cash Daddy's gonna get wrecked here when we're up shields because these Drill Runs just do so much damage. They will outpace here, and I think they actually will land a Mud Bomb here because they will just, like I said, outpace. I'm gonna go for an Ice Punch on it because I don't think I can get to the move in time. So we're going to fire this off, which will put it in counter down range. And we actually just come in and punch it out with Medicham. Very bad editing there, but we're going to hop into the next match immediately here. And it is a Azumarill. Azumarill a little bit awkward, but you know, it's fine. Like, we can go for a Psychic. What I think I might try to do here is go for a catch. I'm not sure what I was trying to catch there, to be fair. An Ice Beam. In comes Obstagoon. Obstagoon, it looks like an answer to Registeel, but it just isn't. Look at this, boom. They have to shield it up, and we're actually using the good Registeel this time. So go ahead there, fire off a Cross Chop Boyo. Boom. Doesn't do that much damage. We're going to get off 2 of these Focus Blasts on this thing. Even if they Cross Chop us here, I think we live it and get off another Focus Blast. So we either take this thing out or get both shields off the opponent. We just about make it. And that is the power of having really good IVs on Registeel. You're getting just bulk points against these Obstagoons. The opponent is just down 2 shields. They've got a Medicham onto their Obstagoon now at this point. And I think I just look to farm this thing the whole way down. I'm actually currently in the process of building a rank 1 Medi. So this one right here you're seeing, it's a little bit less bulky. The opponent comes in with a Azumarill, and now we're just in a really good position. We've already got a Psychic loaded on this thing. This thing will have a player off here at this point. And I was going to throw 1 counter and catch, but I ended up not doing it correctly. The opponent goes for an Ice Beam here. We can go for another Psychic here, which will get very close to taking it out. And I think at this point we will look to... I think I actually just stay in here with Medi, because if I come in with Sandslash, they'll look to just do a ton of counter damage with Obstagoon, right? So like that's what I was thinking here. I'm not going to expose my... Okay, now we're exposing it and we're going to overfarm. Just making sure that the Obstagoon can come in and do like a ton of damage. Now here's the thing about this matchup right here, which is interesting. You need a shield for this Pokemon, but that does so much damage that it doesn't even matter. it doesn't even matter, because this one flamethrower is going to take us out, of course, but Medicham's just sitting here chilling, punching this stupid dinosaur in the face, and we have a nice little ice punch loaded for the obstacle. So you do need a shield. That's why you need shields for the Pokemon. Like, you can absolutely obliterate that Pokemon, Bastiodon, of course, but if you don't have a shield, they can obliterate you, so it's a bit of an awkward one if you're down shields on that one. In comes Noctowl here. I think what I decide to do is maybe go for an Ice Punch, or go for a Catch, which is even better. Love to see that. We're going to eat this on the tin can. Nice little Sky Attack, just chipping us, and in comes Lurantis. This is an interesting Pokemon. I think I go straight for the Focus Blast here. I think in other scenarios I went for a bait on this one, which would be the Zap Cannon. They let that one go, and I'm expecting the back-to-back superpowers here. So I think what I might do here is respect the... no, I just let it go. Just let it go. I can eat it, which is perfectly fine. And I'm just going to let this go completely and farm it down. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to look to do. The opponent here is looking very low in health, and we can come back in with this. And like I said, you know, with Ice Punches, we can look to threaten this thing so much. So what I might do is dump off both Ice Punches, get us... okay, we're actually going to bank an Ice Punch, which is quite nice, and look to CMP on the next one. So I think this works out pretty well. And again, the opponent's not swapping straight out, so I'm thinking they don't have a counter user in the back, which is looking very, very positive for us here. In comes Shadow Ball, we're not going to eat that, and in comes Galarian Stunfisk. And I think up one shield, we're absolutely fine here. Is that a CMP tie on the Rock Slide? You have to, as Galarian Stunfisk, you have to at least threaten the Earthquake. Boom, that goes through. I think I decided to shield this here because this is very strong against Noctowl as well. And I think we'll look to CMP on the next Rock Slide here with the Ice Punch. The opponent actually is just a little bit ahead because of course he went for the 6. And I think I should be coming in with Medicham here, yep. Farm this bad boy down. And I think I go for Psychic here because it's more raw damage. I seem to be a big fan here of going for more raw damage in these battles here. But I think I was getting to 2 Ice Punches here, so that was probably incorrect. But the opponent, there's nothing really they can do. I think I've got an Ice Punch loaded on Sandslash, so it's absolutely fine, and makes no difference either way. But that's just something to keep in mind. Like, I just looked it up, Ice Punch does around 30%, and Psychic does around 37%. So that's something to keep in mind if they're just like a little bit in that health range where it's like, I don't know if a Psychic, one Ice Punch is going to take out, and I can only get to one move. You know, maybe Psychic will be a better move there. In comes Nidoqueen here. I decided to stay in here for a minute and look to fire off a Psychic in this because with this thing knowing Earth Power, and with me knowing, of course, Ice Punch, I can look to threaten this quite a lot. Now, I think I do respect an Earth Power here, and then I'll probably look to pivot out into Sandslash. Now, I think they're going to get it to another move because they did go for an Overfarm there, and I wasn't sure if this would be the Earth Power or not, so I do respect it. But here's the problem of coming into Sandslash, and this is kind of why I was reluctant to swap out. They have an Obstagoon in the front, so the opponent can simply let this go, come in with Obstagoon, and just absolutely beat the shit out of my Sandslash. Not before I get off a Drill Run, which of course will do a lot of damage to this thing, but you know, it's not comfortable. And I'm surprised the opponent does shield that, because Medicham's coming back in here to absolutely destroy this thing. In comes Golbat. I should have been going for Psychic here, because this is a joint poison typing. I do go for the Ice Punch here, which does a lot of damage anyway. So yeah, I think that was a little bit incorrect. I could have went for the Psychic and Farm Down, and then at that point look to basically Focus Blast the Obstagoon. But the first thing I seen was the flying typing, right? So I just threw the Ice Punch straight away. I go for a complete undercharge, and that does not... That actually does take them out. I was trying to get a little bit of extra farm. The opponent can go for Cross Chops. Are they actually able to take us out here? I think this one Cross Chop is going to take us out. So this is all up to Medicham at this point. This should be okay, even with this low health. We're going to go for one Ice Punch. Will this Night Slash actually take us out, though? This is going to be pretty close. They go for Cross Chop. They go for Cross Chop. Not too sure what that was about, but we're going to go for an Ice Punch. That's going to take out the Obstagoon. I think we might have just about lived it, but it was definitely close, and going for Night Slash was the better play there. Pretty awkward lead here. We can't hit this thing with neutral Psychics, but this is so bad for our backline, so it's like I almost have to stay in here against this really bad lead, which is a little bit awkward. Fire types are looking to be quite strong here, of course, with all of the Ice types in the back, and Registeals and things. We're going to go for Psychic. Please let it go. No, they're shielding. I'm like, oh no. Oh no. I'm going to get just swept by Alolan Marowak. Zionic would be proud here. Alolan Marowak. I call the bait as well, so like that was kind of my win condition. The opponent makes a swap out there. I didn't quite see what that was. We go for Psychic again. It's Defense Deoxys. So again, it's like, bro, I have to stay in here. Like, what do I come in with? I go for a catch, unsuccessfully so. But I have built up a lot of energy for the return matchup with Marowak. Now, I think I can actually flip this because I've got them down so low that one Zap Cannon will look to take them out. Not before the opponent fires off another move here, and it is going to be another Thunderbolt, okay. So, what's probably going to happen here is Marowak's going to come back in. I try to go for an undercharge. I'm not too sure. The opponent makes an aggro swap here. Can we get to the focus blast? No, we cannot. But we do have enough energy for a psychic here. We're going to fire this straight off and just pray and hope the opponent lets us go. Please let it go, opponent. Please. They let it go. I'm like, okay, I can actually win this match now. We're just going to potentially sweep with Sand Slash, and in comes Deoxys again. I'm staying in here, and we're going to force the opponent to throw energy and then look to Shadow Claw down, or the opponent will most likely swap out here. Yep, we come in and Shadow Claw down, get a little bit ahead in energy, and this is Galarian Stunfisk. Now, I think I need to land a bait here. We go for the first one straight away, just to deny them a mud shot on the swap. Okay, we go for that straight away. The opponent lets it go. Now, what I need to do here is potentially call a bait and go for the back-to-back. They've built up to the Earthquake. Are they baiting? They are baiting, and we call the Rock Slide. We're going to build up to the back-to-back Ice Punches here. Fire off Ice Punch number 1. Of course, the opponent might try to go for a Rock Slide here, but Ice Punch number 2 coming through, and this is going to take out the Stunfisk. So this game was won by 2 huge calls. I called the Bone Club on the Marowak, and I called the Earthquake on the Stunfisk, and that's what won that match for me. Pretty insane lead and pretty tough one, but we did manage to pull it around. In comes Deoxys here. We're going to go probably for Ice Punches this time, and we just sort of have to stay where we are. The thing is, if we can get it down to like 50% health, at that point we can come in and look to go for 1 Zap Cannon, which may be what I decide to do here. Now, I think in this matchup, I learned this, this sort of thing before. You actually kind of need to shield against this thing, because this is your main answer to Deoxys, unfortunately. We're going to go for this Ice Punch, get them into Zap Cannon range here, I would hope, and then look to swap out. Yes, we do, that's beautiful. And we're in here with Reggie. Now, we're actually doing a decent amount of damage with these lock-ons, so the temptation to lock on down is real here. I might even look to go for Focus Blast and look to go for potentially like a lock on down. Get a little bit ahead in energy, but we're just going to fully charge it. The opponent does shield it, so I'm like, wow. I might actually just shield... Oh, I'm actually letting this go, and maybe look to lock on and fire off another move. Can we get to another move in time? The opponent thought I was going to get to it, so they do fire off a Psycho Boost here. This is perfect. I think I might even come in with Sand Slash and farm it down. Let's see. Let's see what this is what I'm thinking about here, I think. Yeah, we come in with Medicham, farm it down. Not taking the risk of eating those counters, and in comes a Azumarill here. So again, like Azumarill's a little bit awkward, but ahead in energy with Medicham, going for these like neutral psychics, plus counters, 2 psychics will take this out. I think I do decide to shield this here, and look to fire off another psychic, and if they shield it, I'll probably come into Sand Slash here, and basically just look to outpace till the drill run. Let's see what the opponent decides to do. They shield it. No, we're actually just staying in here. This is interesting. We're going for an Ice Punch here. I think I'm looking to get it into farm down range, potentially. I thought the opponent was just about to reach another move, but that was probably a mistake. It allows the opponent to be more comfortable, and in comes a Medicham. This is looking really rough here. This thing will just wreck my Sand Slash. How do I win this match? Can I just go for 1 Ice Punch and take it out? The opponent gets off a move. What is this move going to be? Is it a Power Punch? It's a Psychic. That almost takes us out. We're going straight for this move. And can we still win this? Will the opponent be forced to dump energy on Sand Slash? Or can we get the farm down in time? Can we get this in time? The opponent does throw a move. So I have a very, very slight chance here. Can we actually counter it down? I think we're just a little bit too low health. Definitely a tough game there, and I probably misplayed it a little bit. But, you know, it's definitely a tough team with Deoxys and Azumarill and Medicham on my 2 steel types in the back, but we got it very, very close. We go for a catch here once again on Noctowl. So I went 5-0 first set, and then of course we start getting hard countered left, right and centre for the second set here. So this is what you're basically seeing. Now I quite like this matchup here as Registeel, with the good IVs. You can usually look to get off 2 Zap Cannons, but the opponent is running Power Punch, which is quite annoying. These Medichams in the back with Power Punch are just a nightmare to deal with. So at least we get the Zap Cannon through. The opponent does not shield it, and we can look to deal with this with our Medicham. But we have a Noctowl to deal with still, and yeah, the opponent is just going to counter us down here. So the obvious thing here is come in with Medicham, go for a slight overfarm. I wasn't convinced an Ice Punch would take out, but I think it would have. So I do go for the Psychic here. I don't want them to get off another move. And in comes Noctowl. We're going to probably look to fire off an Ice Punch to threaten a little bit of damage on this thing. Get it into Ice Punch range on Sand Slash, and then look to come in and fire off a move. The opponent will probably go for a Shadow Ball here. I'm just shielding up everything on Sand Slash at this point, especially because they're staying in here for a second, and the opponent is still staying in. So it's making me think, okay, maybe I have a chance here. They might be weak to this in the back. Hopefully I can paste on this next one. Yes, oh, they just about reached the move before me. So I'm pretty much forced to shield this up here, unfortunately. In comes the Shadow Ball. Now I can just go for an overfarm here at this point. Go for the back-to-back. We fired just before the back-to-back. I think the opponent caught on something there, which is quite annoying. They catch it on a bloody lantern, bro. This is super annoying. We're going to go for a drill run. I was getting a little bit annoyed here. The opponent's just, you know, throwing at the perfect times. We're going to come into Medicham to look to eat a move. So what I basically need is a drill run and an Ice Punch to win this match, which is a little bit of a tall order, considering one Thunderbolt will take us out. The opponent's using is that Noctowl, Medicham, and Lantern. I guess the opponent is unaware of the move update and they're just being very, very boring, playing the same shit team from last season. In comes a pretty bad lead here. This is a terrible lead for my team. Charizard can just wipe out my entire team with one move, pretty much. So I hope to land this Ice Punch. Yes, we do land that Ice Punch. That's huge for this match. I need to shield this and counter it down, basically. The opponent goes for a bait, which is kind of annoying, and we're going to look to commit to the counter down, I think, here. Do I shield this twice, or do I look to lock on it down? Blast Burn coming through. I might actually look to Shadow Claw down. We'll see how we go here. Yeah, we look to Shadow Claw this down. We do get it to Shadow Claw down before they reach another move, and in comes Galarian Stunfisk. And now we're a little bit ahead on energy here, so this could be looking like an okay match. I may still have to call a bait here, but the opponent lets that go. So at this point, we look to catch what I'm thinking is a Rock Slide here. Hopefully it is the Rock Slide. Of course it is. They're not going to go for the Earthquake, and in comes Medicham again. Once again, this thing does no Earthquake, and I'm looking to go for a Zap Cannon bait here to nerf the Medicham. I'm thinking they have to shield this up pretty much. Let it go. I guess they don't have to shield it up. Good games to the opponent here, I guess. My only real play is to call a bait. It is the Earthquake, but it doesn't take us out anymore. We can look to go for Focus Blast this time. The opponent's EMPs us on a Frenzy Plant. I don't think this is going to take us out. It just about doesn't, and again, the Registeel IVs are coming in so clutch. We're going to fire off this Focus Blast, look to take them out, and we're going to aggro swap, go for the Ice Punch here. Shields are down, and look how much health we have on this thing. The opponent shields it up, so this is amazing. Are they going to go for another catch? I thought they were, so I overfarmed. I'm not going to fall for it twice here, buddy. I'm not going to fall for it twice here, buddy. Get out of here. And can we get to this move in time? Can the opponent get to 2 Frenzy Plants? I don't think so. I think this match is in the bag. It was definitely looking a little bit tougher there for a minute, and I think we actually CMP on the Frenzy Plant, which is amazing. A really, really close match, and we did manage to switch that one around. So, you know, sometimes if you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm getting algorithmed, you know, it doesn't mean you're automatically losing the games. You have to stay in and try your best, and sometimes you will win. In comes Medicham lead. I'm going to shield up this thing, I think. We'll basically win CMP on every Medicham with this IV that we have here, with these IVs. And I think we just shield the Psychic here, look to get rid of this thing. This Pokemon's a real problem for the backline, and they usually don't bait on the first one. Now they're in Ice Punch range, so this is looking really good. The opponent is going to be forced to shield up Ice Punches. Really happy with this. Normally if there's a Medicham in the front, normally they're weak to Medicham in the back, I tend to find, unless it's of course that stupid team. Now I come in for a really aggressive lock-on down, and the opponent's thinking here like, you know, I just basically stay in here, that's what they're thinking, as I'm getting messages to turn down the volume. But we're going to get so far ahead in energy that even though the opponent's up a shield, we can look to threaten whatever comes in, and it is a Alolan Sandslash. We're going to go for the Zap Cannon bait here, which in my hopes is going to allow me to survive a drill run. We'll have a look here. Sandslash basically shields up everything, and at the very least here, folks, we're going to force the opponent to dump both of their moves. Can we get to the move in time? We just about do. The opponent goes for the aggressive farm down, and this is going to absolutely one-shot this thing. Good night. And in comes the Zoomerl. We go for the aggro swap. We're not going to let them farm us down, and we're going to look to fire off drill runs, and good timing. 2 drill runs will come pretty close to taking this out. And if the opponent goes for Hydro Pump, of course it can take us out, but Play Rough and Ice Beam are both resisted here. The opponent does go for a Play Rough, so we can go for another drill run, get it very, very low, and yeah, it looks to be over for the opponent here. I think if they had Hydro Pump, they would have went straight for it. The opponent's getting super, super low, and at this point, I think they're in pretty much Ice Punch range from Medicham. We can maybe look to farm it down. I was still a little bit scared in case they got to the move here. We do go for the Ice Punch, which will take out the Azumarill, and I always seem to be weak to this Pokemon. All the teams I build, I never respect Azumarill, unfortunately, and this team is okay against Azumarill, but it can be a little bit tricky. We get another pretty bad lead here. We're going to look to swap into Registeel, and the opponent's staying in for a minute. They come in with Azumarill very, very late, which is not what you want to do. Registeel is super good against Azumarill with the Zap Cannons, and we're going to debuff the opponent off the rip, and even if they go for the Hydro Pump, we can just eat this all day long. I think we can probably, they're probably going to need to land 2 Hydro Pumps to take us out. We're going to fire off the second Zap Cannon here, going for a little bit of an overfarm. I do try to throw in good timing on this, but I'm never able to like guarantee that I throw in good timing. And yeah, we're looking in a very, very dominant position here at this point. I think I was actually tempted to shield this at this point. Yeah, so it is the Hydro Pump, which is weird that the opponent doesn't go straight for it. We farm up to 100 energy and look to fire off the Zap Cannon. We're in a super dominant position, and I think I might look to shield once and maybe lock on down. Or no, we're just going to let this go and look to keep 2 shields for Sandslash. Ice Beam coming through, and yeah, we look to just make an aggro swap here, thinking that up energy, we can basically look to threaten anything with this thing. What's the opponent going to do? They're going to top left, and that's going to be a good game right there. So we get a pretty positive lead here. It's Umbreon. Umbreon can beat you in the zero shielding scenario if they land one last resort, which is quite funny. They come in with Swampert, and like we have to stay in here basically and look to counter this thing down. We're going to try not to CMP them here if possible. And yeah, we're looking to fire off multiple ice punches. The good thing about this is our counters are just ripping through the Swampert, and their mud shots are doing nothing. So we'll have to probably eat a Hydro Cannon on this at some point, but we're going to get both shields off the opponent, and we're going to look to take it out. You'll see this Hydro Cannon going through. It is going to do so much damage to Medicham, but we can definitely take switch here, and with this Pokemon out of the way, I feel like our back two Pokemon are just looking home free at this stage already. The opponent probably will come back in with a Azumarill, which, you know, of course, is going to be very good for Registeel. And it really just depends on what's in back. Hopefully not another counter user, but I would not be surprised. In comes Reggie, we'll see what the opponent comes in with. And, you know, if it is another counter user, it could be Obstagoon, it could be Vigoroth, could be Defense Deoxys, in which case we can look to Zap Cannon it. The opponent is staying in here, which is quite interesting. And in come, oh sorry, it's the Umbreon, of course. It is the Umbreon. We're going to look to Focus Blast this. A really good matchup here against Umbreon, but I want to keep the Registeel alive and well for Azumarill. So we're going to come in here and just eat the energy on Sand Slash, and I look to take it out and hopefully even land a move on Azumarill, but it's pretty unnecessary. I think we just need to land one Zap Cannon, and that's going to be a good game to the opponent. This drill run's going for it, does so much damage to the bulky Umbreon. We look to CMP on the Ice Punch, but the opponent top lefts, and that's a good game, guys. Once again, Medicham is super overpowered this season. Again, there's gonna be that guy in the comments like, Medicham has always been overpowered. Like, I done a video yesterday about Defense Form Deoxys, right? It's like, Defense Form Deoxys is now meta. Defense Form Deoxys has always been meta. Bro, I know, it's always been good, but if you've played the last season, you will know that on 90% of the teams, you're going to find Noctowl, Lantern, Medicham. Like, Defense Deoxys is not that common, you know, so whenever I'm saying that these Pokemon are now meta, or now even more overpowered, I'm not saying that they weren't good before, right? I'm saying that they're even better, or, you know, the situation and the meta has shifted and changed, and these Pokemon have slightly different play, or slightly better, or slightly worse play. I'm not saying they weren't good before, I'm not saying they weren't in the top 20 Pokemon before. You just have to take into consideration that on most teams, you're seeing the same 5, 6, 7, or 8 Pokemon, right? You're seeing tons of Trevenants, you're seeing tons of Noctowls, and Defense Form Deoxys, while always has been a really good Pokemon, was not always just on every team. Medicham has always been on a lot of teams, so this is a little bit different, but hopefully you guys do understand. I think people who watch me regularly do understand, but just for those of you who want to make that sort of comment saying like, oh, it's always been better, what are you on about? Like, chill out, right? Chill out. I'm just saying it's better this season than it was last season, even though it was very strong. Anyway guys, that's a little rant out of the way. Thank you very much. Do drop a comment. I do appreciate all the comments, even though I'm kind of, you know, ripping you out here. But thank you very much, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Drop a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one.